You know the vibes. Welcome back to another week here at the Hoop Genius podcast presented by NBA 2K23, the place you need to be to keep up to date with all things NBA. Mr. BJ Armstrong with us as always. BJ, how was your weekend?
Well, it's all good. It's all good. All good. Little NBA, little this, little that. And check it in. What's going on? What you got? What you got for
Well,
me?
it's all good over for you living in LA, and it's even better for one of the teams in LA, the Los Angeles Lakers. They've moved up
Oh,
from 13th to 12th
oh.
in the standings. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause. But they are on a 5-game win streak, all jokes aside. They have been winning games even without Anthony Davis, and they've won a few without LeBron James as well. They're on a 5-game streak. They're 2 games behind 500. They're only, a game and a half behind the 6-seed Clippers, 2 games behind the 5-seed Kings. BJ, my question to you is, as an LA resident, you keep a close eye on this team. Have they finally figured themselves out?
I'm going to give the Lakers this. They play hard every game. They are very prepared. They play hard, and you have to beat this team. So I respect that. Obviously, we know their shortcomings when they are healthy. Clearly, without Anthony Davis, what can you expect at this point? However, they are playing terrific basketball right now, and when you start looking at their roster and you start looking what they're doing and the players. I mean, this kid Thomas Bryant is playing a really nice brand of basketball, and I just want to give a shout out to him. Coming back from a significant injury. He had an Achilles injury. He's had to sit out all of last season, and then for him to come back and find his way, find his rhythm, and battle his way. He wasn't in the rotation early in the season, but he's battled his way, and he's a fighter. So I'm going to give these guys credit. They play hard. Dennis Schroeder has really, he's playing well, especially on the defensive end. I think he had like 27, 28 points or something last night. Russell Westbrook has taken on that responsibility coming off the bench, what he's doing.
You got to remember, with Thomas Bryant, I really liked him when he was in Washington, but you got to remember he was coming off an ACL that ended his season last season. So now,
was it an ACL? Was it ACL?
Yeah. Now
ACL?
we're seeing him get healthy. I didn't know if he'd be able to get back to that level because the minutes I saw him in earlier on, he didn't look great. But after that performance, he had a monster performance over the weekend. I'm starting to see it. Dennis Schroeder, what he does is, he's shooting maybe the best three-pointing shooting of his career, but he also applies pressure on the rim by driving the ball and collapsing the defense in the paint somewhat. Playmaking for his teammates. He's got a big boost coming in. I saw an interesting piece about him and his relationship with Darvin Ham, and they've stayed in touch over the years. And when Darvin Ham became coach of the Lakers, he called him and said, "Yo, I want to be your point guard." So that's an interesting subplot there. Did you see all the drama with LeBron James in the media that came out over the weekend?
I did not. I did not. I missed that one. So I just kind of watched the game. So, but I'm sure you would love to update me and update the listeners.
I will update you and anyone who missed it. Okay. LeBron James was quoted. Well, first of all, ESPN did a really dirty trick. They promoted a LeBron James exclusive one-on-one interview. Like the type of interview Jimmy Butler did the day that he busted up Karl-Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins using the third-string bench players in practice and then demanded a trade. So that level of interview, that's what everyone was expecting. LeBron James exclusive interview at 6 p.m. Eastern, and the full interview's out at 3. And it was really nothing. It was just him talking about breaking the scoring record and whatnot. But then our good friend Sam Amick published an article in which LeBron James said to The Athletic reportedly that y'all know what the F should be happening here, basically implying that they need to upgrade the roster and that he was frustrated. Sam Amick said that LeBron has waning patience and his greatness is forcing his conversation that he deserves more help. And LeBron James has actually replied and said, "Hey, Sam, actually, my patience isn't waning. You make it sound like I'm frustrated when I'm really not. I told you over and over, my job's focused on the guys in the locker room. My job isn't the roster. That's the reality of the conversation. That's why I said with the utmost respect and calmness, because of the mood I'm in, you're welcome 5-game winning streak." So just a lot of noise and nothing really of substance. But it kept the NBA world on the edge of their seats a little bit. because everyone loves drama, everyone loves LeBron. So, but what I do want to talk about is just some of the stat lines this guy's putting up at the age of 38. 37, 8 and 7 in the win on Saturday night. Absolutely unbelievable. But do you see them as a playoff team now?
I don't. And if they are going to be a playoff team, I'm going to say it. I think they will be in the play-in, and they'll have to figure out how to, get into the playoffs that way. I mean, look, it's great that they're playing hard. I think what they're doing, Coach Ham has this guy. What I love about any team is when they play to their potential. This team is playing to their potential, right? Everyone has figured out what they bring to contribute to winning. LeBron James right now is carrying the load. They have guys, Schroeder, and these guys are playing, Russell Westbrook. Everyone's playing their role to the best of their ability. What more can you say? Now, who's to blame, right? Who in LA, what you've learned over the years, living out here is, there's got to be someone to blame. This team is what it is. Like, what are you going to expect? AD is out. Well, AD was playing arguably, at an MVP level. So what do you expect? But what I love about this team is they play hard every night. Well, so it's fine with me.
The reason I asked that question is not so much because of the Lakers, but because of the rest of the Western Conference. Zion is now out with an injury for the Pelicans, who have lost 2 straight. At the time of recording, we're recording this at 11:39 p.m. UK time on a Sunday night. The Sacramento Kings have lost 2 straight. The Clippers have lost 5 in a row. The Suns have lost 5 in a row. We talked about them last week and how without Devin Booker, they look absolutely lost. The Warriors have lost 2 in a row. Portland have lost 3 in a row. Utah have lost a game. So what I'm saying is between the 5 seed and the 12 seed, only 2 games separate them, which is why if the Lakers do keep finding ways to win these games, they could end up at the 5 or the 6 seed just because of the calamity around the rest of the Western Conference. I was having this conversation earlier with a friend of mine.
Mathematically, they could do it. However, I don't think they have better talent than the Clippers. I don't think they have better talent than Golden State. No. I don't think they are as talented from a team perspective.
Yeah, of course.
As the Clippers, Devin Booker was going to come back.
They never played. Devin Booker's out with an injury. Steph Curry's out with an injury. You see, I was having this conversation earlier with a friend, and it's who do you think at this, if you had to decide right now, is coming out of the Western Conference? I said, looking at it, if the Warriors get to the playoffs and Steph's healthy, I got to go with the Warriors because I'm not filled with confidence at this point by.
But why would you say that, though? Why? Why would you say that?
Because they have the championship pedigree, they have the chemistry, they have the experience of being there last year. And when I look at the other teams in the Western Conference, I don't know who in a 7-game series can take them out. Who do you look at when you look at the Western Conference? I'm not filled with confidence when I see Denver sitting at the top.
You don't see Denver?
Do you see Denver beating the Golden State Warriors in a playoff series?
I can see that.
Okay.
I mean, I can see. I mean, what I see right now, based on what I see, okay. But in the second half of the season, Steph Curry is out. Who's going to step up and play? Who's going to be injured? There's a lot that can happen in between. If you ask me today, do I see the Denver Nuggets today beating the Golden State Warriors? I would say absolutely. Now, does that mean that will be the case when they meet up possibly in the playoffs? Could be, could be. However, right now, Denver looks like one of, if not the best team in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
You could say that about New Orleans, but New Orleans is hurt.
Grizzlies are on a nice 5-game win streak. We got to just talk about Jaren Jackson Jr. for a second, because him right this season has been playing, especially on the defensive end, has been playing unbelievably good basketball. He has thrown his hat in the ring for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, okay. Do it when the lights are the brightest. All of this Defensive Player of the Year, okay. I'm done with that. Who's the MVP? Do it when the lights are bright. Okay. Now, right now, I want to see this Memphis Grizzlies team play in statement games. For instance, when the lights were the brightest on Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
Show me there. Where the lights are the brightest versus the Memphis Grizzlies and all the, against the Denver Nuggets and the Boston Celtics and all that. Show me there. Show me that you can play exceptionally well on the road, a brand of basketball that's going to translate to the playoffs. Look, the Memphis Grizzlies, they're very talented. They play with a lot of confidence. I happen to think they're well coached. Taylor Jenkins and his staff, those guys have shooters, they have spacing, they have size, they have all these things. However, I'm not going to get caught up in a 5-game win streak because they have an elite player in this kid, Ja Morant. Okay, Ja Morant is a very capable player to carry a game. He can carry a team, especially on the offensive end. He can will the game just in his style of play alone. Now, that's what I'm looking for with this team. So I'm done saying, oh, they're on a 5-game winning streak. I want to see the Memphis Grizzlies show up and play when the lights are bright, because I'm expecting now this team to win. That's what I'm expecting. Jaren Jackson and these guys. Jaren Jackson clearly has the talent to be one of the best defensive players in the league. He has the talent. He has shown. The one thing he hasn't shown, though, is the inability to stay out of foul trouble. I think he's done a better job, but he has shown the ability, especially when they need him most.
It's the discipline.
So, okay, well, whatever it is, I see all the talent. I see all of the stuff. I see them dancing and doing the gritty. I see all of the things that you guys see. However, I'm waiting to see when the dust settles and the dust clears, will the Memphis Grizzlies still be standing? And that's, and I think that is a reasonable expectation with this group. They have the talent, I feel, and the way they play, that they feel they can win the last game of the season.
Okay. Well, speaking of doing it when the lights are bright and these statement games in the regular season, I have actually been quite lost with one phenomenon that's happened this season, and that is your former team, the Chicago Bulls, the streak-busting Bulls. If you're on a winning streak, you got to hope the Bulls aren't on your schedule. They'll end your winning streak. They seem to win all the games against the likes of the Celtics, the Bucks, the Heat, and the Nets, and then they lose against the teams that are below 500. How and why is this happening? Do you think teams are taking a night off when they
I know. I don't know. I don't know. The Bulls look like they are, stranded out in the ocean without a life raft, without a life vest.
But then they come and beat all the good teams.
And then they come and they go to Brooklyn, and then they beat this team, Philadelphia, I believe. So clearly this team has some offensive firepower. Vucevic and Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. Clearly, they kind of remind me a little bit of your Celtics. Just when you're ready to count them out.
Except the Celtics can play defense.
Yeah. Hey, well, just when you're ready to count them out, you're like, oh, the Bulls are done. They arrive and it's like they have 9 lives. So I'm going to say this about the Celtics. Offensively, about the Bulls. Offensively, Vucevic, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine are all very capable of getting 25 or more points. In particular, they have 2 players who are capable of getting 30 scoring on the same night. Just the way they play. DeMar DeRozan, again, is having a terrific season from the mid-range, right? He's unbelievable, right? He's aging very gracefully. Then you have Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine is shooting lights out right now. Now, when they're playing this well on the offensive end and Vooch is doing his thing in the interior, this is what you get. So they have guys who can score. If there's anything that is a question mark for them, it's defensively. But they seem to have been doing a much better job of that. They, with the exception of giving up 71 to our good friend Donovan Mitchell, they've been playing really well. And when they make shots, they're tough to beat. So I don't know what to make of the Bulls. it's kind of a hit and miss, literally. You know, they say this is a hit and miss league. Well, right now they're hitting, so let's just roll with it. And Zach LaVine is just shooting. I mean, he's shooting the ball. I don't know what he's shooting in this.
Yeah, he had a rough start to the season, but obviously that's with surgery and injuries and whatnot. But
right,
you know, he's rounding his form nicely, which bodes well for Paris, BJ. Just over a week, you and I will be reunited in
right.
The Pistons, and they didn't have a great game today against the Sixers. Harden had a nice triple-double in just 28 minutes, and Maxey looked nice. But the other team I want to ask you about is the team that the Bulls ended the streak of, the Brooklyn Nets. 12 games in a row. That's pretty impressive. And the player that stands out to me, as great as Kyrie Irving is putting up 30 points, and as great as Kevin Durant is with some of the most efficient scoring we've seen in the mid-range, Nick Claxton. I talked about Jaren Jackson Jr. putting his hand in the ring for Defensive Player of the Year. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been great on defense, but Nick Claxton has been unbelievable on the defensive end for these Brooklyn Nets. And they're playing a great team defense as well. They're switching everything and staying with the other team. I like what I've seen. It's like they're finally playing defense for the first time since this team came together. And it's getting scary for the Eastern Conference. They love to call it scary hours over there in Brooklyn. But do you think what the Nets did is a sign of what's to come? Because it feels like with the Brooklyn Nets, you're just waiting for more drama. You're just waiting for something to go wrong. Someone's suspended. Someone's not playing. Someone's out with an injury. It's like something always happens to them. But should we finally take them seriously? Because I feel like to start the season, a lot of people just wrote them off in the sense of, oh, we've seen this for the past 2-3 years. They're not really serious contenders. But now, are you looking at them like serious contenders to win the Eastern Conference, especially with, Milwaukee having a horrible game against the Hornets? I loved Giannis's quote. We can talk about that after if you want. But are you taking them as serious contenders out in the East?
Well, anytime you are, 10 games or more over 500, right? You have to be taken serious. This is, Kevin Durant is having another. I just don't want to take him for granted.
He's up there in the MVP race now. I think he could run away with it.
Yeah, I mean, again, Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant, and for him to come back from the injury that he sustained and be able to play at this level and do that just speaks volumes about him. So give him credit. We've had a lot to say about Brooklyn over the last 2 years, and it hasn't always been positive, especially from us in the media, because we've expected so much from this team, and they've, unfortunately or fortunately, they've made the headlines for all the wrong reasons, right? Things that weren't happening on the court. Mm-hmm. However, they've gotten their focus. Jacque Vaughn, give Coach Jacque Vaughn and his staff credit for simplifying the game for them. And they have this team playing a really nice brand of basketball. And I think they're playing well on the offensive end. They're sharing the basketball. And they're getting contributions from guys like Nick Claxton and T.J. Warren and Seth Curry and the guys. Of course, KD and these guys are playing like KD and Kyrie. We've come to expect them to play. And it's translated for winning for them. Now, how sustainable is it? And Mo, you and I can't forget that when the playoffs start, it's going to be a different game. And I'm not worried about KD and Kyrie playing in the playoffs, but I always get concerned about body types. What kind of body types do you have once you enter into the playoffs? Mm-hmm. Now, this team is probably, let's say the playoffs started today, right? They would play probably the Indiana Pacers in the playoffs, okay? Because I think they are 7th currently right now in the playoffs. I would be concerned with that matchup. Why? Because Nick Claxton is not a big physical player, right? Miles Turner and these guys, they're big, right? The game is going to slow down. If they play the Miami Heat, for instance, Nick Claxton has to play against Bam Adebayo. Okay, if they play, even the New York Knicks, or they play the Philadelphia 76ers, if they fail to, whatever, however this turns out, those are big bodies. And it's the one thing, Mo, I've learned in this league. It's very hard to win when you can't control the paint with big bodies. You got to be able to control the paint. We're all looking for the big, exceptional center, right? You're looking for a Shaquille O'Neal type. You're looking for Kareem, or you're looking for Bill Russell or whomever. However, you're on the ground more than you are in the air. And these guys, like your guy Rob Williams last year, he was terrific. Big physical kid. Draymond Green, for instance, big physical kid. Jokic, big physical kid. Embiid, these guys. So the physicality of the game, I'm a little concerned about. Nick Claxton is doing a great job playing in the pace of the game right now during the regular season. However, now everyone's going to start pushing a little bit. Referees are going to let the fouls, and guys are going to play through contact a little bit. So I'm waiting to see that. And what I do know is that Giannis, Brook Lopez, and these guys are big men, okay? And that means that KD is going to have to go from the 3 position to the 4 position, and he has a small frame himself. I know he's going to play physical. I know he's going to do what he has to do. However, I am a little concerned about that because I can't recall off the top where a team that did win the championship didn't have a physical presence on one end or the other, right? Preferably you like them on both ends. But you got to have someone who can, let's say, control the paint, someone who can anchor your team on the defensive end. And that's my only concern. But other than that, they're playing a nice brand of basketball, and it's going to be fun to watch this team because now I think the rest of the teams are going to start gearing up to play them. Yeah. And it's like, oh, Brooklyn's coming to town. Oh, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think the Brooklyn had kind of lost that, but I think they're regaining their confidence and they're regaining for real the attention of the rest of the league.
Well, we'll end the show on this one more point, because you talk about a big presence, and Cleveland have got 2 big presences in Allen and Mobley. And the reports are saying that the Cavs believe Tim Hardaway Jr. of the Dallas Mavericks is available, and sources are saying that he could be had at the right price. What do you think of that move, of them adding another scoring 2 guard to play off the bench, perhaps?
When they say right price, what are they looking for? What are they looking for?
Well, I think they haven't sorted out that contract with Caris LeVert. And it would be, if the Mavericks wanted to pay Caris LeVert and see him as part of their team moving forwards, they could do a straight up swap Caris LeVert for Tim Hardaway Jr.
That's an okay trade. Listen. You've heard me say this, Mo, and I don't want to say it again. I'm intrigued by Donovan Mitchell playing the lead guard position.
And you got Darius Garland there, though.
And you have Darius Garland. I've been saying this for years now, Mo, right? You've heard me say this. I don't think it is in the interest of, the best interest for the team to advance. If you always want to look for advantages on the floor, Donovan Mitchell, in my humble opinion, has an advantage if he plays the lead guard position.
But then you take Darius Garland off that position, and that's where he excels.
I'm just saying what I think the advantage is. Now, I've been saying this from Donovan Mitchell since he was in Utah. Whenever he's at the lead guard position, why am I saying this? It's because at the 2 guard position, where guys are a little bigger, I don't see the advantage. You can't just ask Donovan Mitchell just to be a catch and shoot guy. You can't get him off the ball. You take away what he does exceptionally well. When I look at their team, Evan Mobley, to me, should be a top 10 player in this league at some point.
He will get there. Not right now, but he can get there. He's got the potential.
Okay.
Not right now.
Okay. Well, not right now. Then my question is when?
In this season or 2, I can see it. Right now, the league has got so much. I don't think he's anywhere close to the top 10. But he definitely, you can see that he can be on both sides of the floor.
But what I'm saying is, I think you got to start playing through him. This is just what I see. Evan Mobley is a special talent. You got to start playing through him. You got to. He's too good. He's too good a player. He could be Giannis.
Giannis is Giannis. That's a lot of pressure to put on a young fella to say he could be Giannis. He could be a top 10 player. To ask him to be Giannis, who could go down as one of the greatest players ever, I think that's a lot.
What I'm saying is this. I saw Giannis at the same age. His skill level is much farther advanced.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is what I'm saying. You're looking at Giannis, the finished product. I saw him and Giannis at the same age. He's further along.
Okay.
Now, whether or not the work involved to get to that level, okay, we can debate that. Because I didn't see anyone when Giannis came in this league telling me Giannis was going to be this. Because of the work that young man did. And you know how I feel about Giannis. However, when I see who this young kid is, who came into this league after I saw him as a starting center at the collegiate level, figure out how to play the small forward position in his rookie season and thrive. Hey, what are you going to say? Okay. Now, I think this young man, if the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to reach their ultimate potential, they're going to have to play through Evan Mobley.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. Okay. Now, however that needs to look, I understand Darius Garland is an all-star. I understand Jared Allen is an all-star. I understand Donovan Mitchell is an all-star. From my eyesight, and I know I don't see as well, Evan Mobley is the best talent on the team.
Like,
now, so again, he will do what the team asks. He will do whatever is asked. But if you're saying, how could this team win the last game of the season? Evan Mobley will be a large part of that equation when it's going to happen for them. Why? He's too good on both sides of the basketball, and he can affect the game on the defensive end. He can affect the game on the offensive end. This young man can play from the post. He can shoot the three. He can play pick and pop. He can play pick and roll. He can go fast. He can go slow. And he can match up with anyone at his position. Anthony Davis, Giannis, whomever at the 4 position in this league, as it's currently, the players that are currently playing. He can match up with KD. I'm saying he can stop these guys, but he can match up and he can play in that game. There aren't many players who can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think when you play and you start talking about winning, you got to look for advantages. You have to look and play through an advantage. I think Evan Mobley is a huge advantage for any team in the league, including the Cleveland Cavaliers. Okay. That's what I see.
Just to take it back to the original question, though, is do you think Tim Hardaway on that team brings them closer to the opportunity of winning the final game of the season? Or do you think they need to fundamentally change how they play, like you're alluding to with Evan Mobley, before they can get there?
Listen, every team in the league is looking for the same thing. Okay. So you know how I feel, Mo, about the game. I'm always looking for the team that can defend and stop the other team, first and foremost. Why? All right, if shooting, all right, is it great to have a great offensive game and everyone shoots well? Okay, that's one game. However, the team that defensively can stop the other team is going to win the series. Mm-hmm. So I think if you're telling me whoever these players are involved in the trade, I don't think neither one of those guys have a chance to shut down and match up against Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
No.
I don't. No. I don't think none of those players can shut down Giannis or Chris Middleton if they're healthy, if he's healthy.
Yeah, it's just about moving a role player and a role player.
Yeah, but what I do see is, okay, if I have Evan Mobley, I got an advantage. Evan Mobley versus Jason Tatum in a series, I'm kind of intrigued.
I mean, right now I'm still saying Tatum, but I hear you.
Absolutely. But Evan Mobley is going to be able to do something versus Jason Tatum in the series.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying you're not going to stop Jason Tatum. So let's get that out of the quick. You're not going to stop Kevin Durant. But I am intrigued by the matchup.
I hear it.
That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? So for me, it's all about the matchups. Evan Mobley, in my opinion, provides intrigue and imagination on what could be, because he can go anywhere from 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, versatility.
And play to his advantage and give his team an advantage. And he's better right now on the defensive side of the game than he is on the offensive side of the game.
Yep.
So I'm intrigued. But that's just me. That's just what. So yeah, you can get those guys. I mean, they're fine. But having Evan Mobley right now be the fourth guy as far as shots attempted or field goals attempted right now, I'm not ready to do that yet with a talent like him. This young man looks like he could be. I mean, Mo, I don't know how good he really is. I think he could be really good based on what I see. But again, you know, I'm just watching. You can't have 7-footers like that with that type of versatility and not play through him. You got to play through this guy. I mean, this guy is a double waiting to happen on a bad night. I mean, he could easily do a 2020 game in the playoffs.
I mean, right now he's at 14-9. So, and you got to factor in he's still only 21. I mean, we're saying all of this. He's still only 21, but
yeah, he's only 21. But you know, again, I'm not taking away anything from Garland. Garland is an all-star player. Donovan Mitchell, all-star player. Guy just had 71 points.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about winning the last game of the season, okay? If you're talking about winning the last game of the season, your best player has to be able to play below the free throw line. Extended.
Yeah.
Your best player has to be able to play below the free throw line extended.
And that's just Steph Curry.
There's always an exception. There's always an anomaly. There's always an exception, right? Steph Curry is the exception, right? That's why so many people in the league never thought that they were going to win it, because most of us at media said you have to have some inside presence. And Steph Curry was like, no, I can shoot this consistent. Yeah, right. Whatever. We've never seen anybody do it. Well, lo and behold, that only took about that only took about 70 years before somebody figured that out. But however, he figured it out. Okay.
Yeah. Credit to it.
Credit to Steph Curry. Now everyone's trying to duplicate that. Everyone's trying to duplicate it, but there's only one Steph Curry. So there's always going to be an exception. So I'll take my chances again on saying I'm going to find someone who can play below the free throw line. Giannis, for instance. Someone who could do that. And then we'll go from there. And once you figure that out, then you can do some things. So but it's an intriguing trade, like you said. I think it would be good, especially knowing the fact of what you said about the business. Well, if he's not going to sign, you don't want to lose a player like that for nothing.
Yeah. Well, it's all about winning the final game of the season, and we're going to be rocking with you guys until the final game of the season and beyond. So make sure that you subscribe to the Hoop Genius podcast on YouTube if you're watching over there. You can get the visuals of every episode now. You can also subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. When you do, make sure you leave a like, leave a review, leave a rating, all that good stuff. And tell your friends about the podcast too if they're trying to get into basketball or they're basketball fans. Let them know this is what they need to be listening to every morning, Monday to Friday. B and Shay and I will be back tomorrow with more NBA talk. So I hope you guys have a great Monday. Have a productive week. And most importantly, get buckets.